Hello, everyone. This is Mark Anthony with Edge on Regen Show. This is the place where we bring you the best of the best doctors in their niche and in their category. This is awesome because this is something totally different we've never done. But today's topic is going to be resiliency in the storms of our lives. Is he a doctor? Yes, he is. This is Dr. Philip Rodger, and he is out in actually in the Florida area. I'm going to probably say it wrong, but that's okay. In Ocala?
Yep, that's right.
Florida. Boom. Yes. 1 point for me, just like a video game. And you can also find him at synchronychiro.com, synchronychiro.com. What's cool about this doctor, it's a husband and wife tag team. They focus on helping animals with chiropractic care. I mean, who would have thought? We had him on the show last time, spoke about that, but I still think it's amazing because we know that, dog is man's best friend. And what do we do with the dog? I think we treat dogs better than humans. I hate to say that, but it's the truth. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. So thank you so much, Dr. Philip, for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that topic, resiliency in the storms of our lives. What does that mean to you, and how did that come up? When you and I were talking, you said you wanted to talk about that, and I was like, you know what, let's do it.
Yeah. So we within the last year, my wife and I, we've went through quite the storms in our lives with my wife being pregnant. We found out she was pregnant with twins, and to make a very long story short, they came about 14 weeks early, and we lost one of them 4 days later. And then our survivor, Emma, she spent 4 months in the NICU, and wow. She was an hour and a half away from where we live, and we have our business and dogs and cats and the whole 9 yards. So it's just like it was impossible to have one of us there all the time in Tampa. And we had this business that we still had to grow. At the time, I was actually working on selling the human chiropractic office that we had in Jacksonville so that I could be home more, because I was currently away from home like at least 3 days a week. I wasn't home. And so there was a lot of things going on in our life. And a lot of times people can, in situations like that, get stuck and think, woe is me, and just pity themselves and just think about how terrible things. And it's fine to have those thoughts. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to have them and they're going to come, but it's how you let those affect you and potentially control your life. Because at the end of the day, if you just sit there and wallow in self-pity, it's not good for you. It's not good for your spouse. It's not good for your kids. Like, literally no one wins.
So how'd you deal with that?
So initially, what helped, I just buried myself in work. Yeah. At best, I would get to see our daughter in the NICU once a week, while the whole time she was in the NICU. And there was one time I got to stay overnight, so that was nice one time. But right. But yeah, we just buried myself in work, and was working 5, 6, 7 days a week sometimes, and was able to take, because once my wife went through those surgeries, she was out of work for at least 3 months. She couldn't do anything really. And then she did a little bit of part-time work up until Emma came home from the NICU. And then after that, she just decided she was going to be a stay-at-home mom. So it was then put on this, we had just in March switched from doing our human chiropractic office and then animal chiropractic on the side to going full blown. All we do is animal chiropractic. No, sorry.
What was that? A drum?
Yeah, no, it was my phone. I thought I silenced it, but anyway, yeah, we had just gone full blown with the animal stuff, and it's amazing how well it's been received and how we've been able to grow and survive just as this one business, with me running the whole show. And I think it's really due in part, especially after Emma came home, just keeping that mindset that, I got to keep moving forward. Like, yes, a shitstorm happened a few months ago, but that I can't let that dictate what the rest of the life looks like.
Right. Wow, that's amazing. I don't even fathom to even imagine it, but I'm sure that being in stuck, I don't want to say you were stuck, but sometimes when you're in a shit storm, you're like, I feel stuck mentally, physically. How did you how were you able to flip that rock besides just working? Sometimes you have to replace something, or you have to look at something a different way. How did you do that? Because this isn't simple.
Yeah, I mean, we've got some good coaches in our lives too. Like, we've got business coaches, we've got life coaches, so we've got a lot of people that we talked to that helped us refocus what we were thinking of. And I mean, at the end of the day, the other thing was just like realizing that no matter how much you think about it or think of how you could have done something differently and what the outcome could have been, there's nothing you can do. Like, what happened. And everyone always says everything happens for a reason. Sometimes you don't know what that reason is, and sometimes you may never figure it out what it is. But I do think all things like that, it's more of it's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right. So there's a thing that I always look at. I always look at the blessing inside the storm. See, it's interesting because we all have storms, different capacities, different levels. And I was talking to somebody literally the other day. I had a huge storm come into my life about 3 weeks ago. And I have a bunch of my friends were reaching out to me like, how are you handling it? And I'm doing good. They were actually shocked. And they're like, why do you keep seeing so much light at the end of the tunnel? Like, you're just so positive. And I'll tell you why. I thought about this recently. Normally when I have these huge storms, I look at how I react. I study myself. And then I said, you know what, for the first time I'm going to start finding joy inside the storm instead of reclusing. So when I started to look at the joy and the blessing in it, I mean, I couldn't fathom going through what you went through, but I'm sure some of that blessing was, but at least I have this one.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, like how you described that just reminded me of, I don't know, it was some weird video I saw on TikTok, I think, where this guy was talking about the differences between cows and buffaloes in a storm. Like, when a storm comes through, the cows will run away from the storm. And as they're running away from it, they can't run faster than the storm. So they're in that storm longer. Whereas the buffalo turn around and actually go straight into the storm. And so, yes, while it will be worse for them initially, they will get through it much faster because it's clear on the other side. And, that's where, like, some people will deal with grieving differently. Some people will bottle it up and, carry it with them. And then it's just like they're physically having to deal with it because of emotional trauma will create physical pain.
Right.
They're dealing with it longer until they can, address it. Whereas someone who just lets all the emotions come in and out and flow, while yes, you're going to have a bigger response initially, as crazy as it is, I'm sure most people can attest to it. Like, if you have an emotional thing, like, sometimes it feels so good just to get it out after a long cry. Like, just let it out and you'll feel so much better.
It is.
Yep.
So what would you say, like, because there are people out there that have, lost a child and it, I mean, who knows, someone might be seeing this, they're going through it right now, or they've gone through that. What would you say would maybe say this? We'll just throw a number out there. I like three main things that you would recommend that they should start doing now before that depression overcomes you.
So the first thing I would just, and most people would, I would think, know that, like, they're always around you. Like, even though you may not physically feel them, like, they're always around you. Like, there are so many times that we see Haley around us, and there's, like, it's so funny. Sometimes there's days where I feel like both my wife and I, like, she's around us a lot because we will both be having a bit of an emotional day at the same time. So just know they're always around you. Number two, I would say, just because trauma, I don't even know how I want to say this. Sometimes trauma can be massive, but dwelling on that doesn't help anyone. So what I like to tell people is I've not had a lot of people say, get over it or whatever, but I'm not going to get over it. This is something that I'm always going to, and it's something you're going to have to just carry with you. And I always say, I will never tell anyone that it's getting easier to deal with the loss of our child, but it does get a little less hard every single day. Like when the emotions come, and this is the other thing, is just to the number three, know that even though you're going to go through stints where you're gonna feel fine and you'll almost like feel like you forget about it, but just the tidal waves of emotion, they will still come, and when they come, they are still 100 feet tall, but you have that longer time in between each one.
Wow, I that's really good. It's interesting. 3 years ago, we had a fire. Our home burned down. We were sleeping at night. There was a fire in our home, and we got the kids out, perfect timing, and our dog didn't make it. And it was crazy because we went out and I was calling for my dog, and I was like, why isn't he responding? He's normally responding so quickly, because I know what happened. They found he had cancer. So we took the cancer out, came back, and it was in his mouth. And what's interesting is I think he died in the middle of the night, but it was so happened we had a fire. See, he didn't get burned or anything.
Yeah.
But I was like looking for my dog, and it sucked because it's like everything happened, and I have my glasses, so I'm like I could barely see. And I went back into the fire to get my dog. I was like, this is bull crap. He's not listening. I don't know what he's doing. But what's interesting is that I went back in, he was under the bed in the middle where I had one of those really heavy beds. So he didn't make it, but it was interesting. And I can't explain it, but we didn't move back into our home maybe about a year ago. So we haven't been with our dog. He was with us for like 15 years. Yeah. So he was family. And we just barely got a new dog like a month and a half ago, and I didn't want to just replace the dog because I don't feel like you just replace people like that. And so our kids picked the dog out, but more like the dog picked the kids. Yep. So I was like, hey, if you guys want this, then she's part of the family. So she came, her name is Honey. And it's funny because I was sleeping in the room where he passed away. And I'm not joking, man. I'm literally sleeping. When you're in that REM state, I'm in the REM state. First time I slept in the room, I'm in that REM state. All of a sudden, I can hear his nails walking down the hallway. I'm like, okay, this is weird. I'm like up, but I'm sleeping. And he'd always go like this so I could pet him, Yeah. And so he did that to me. And he was just there, just kind of like licking on me and loving on me. And then he went away. And I'm like, dude, this is weird, right? And no, for real, man. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I just literally got visited by my dog, right? I can't explain it. I'm not going to try. But what's weird is, when your dog barks, you can hear the dogs, that, oh, that's my dog. Yep. And I literally heard the dog barking later that day outside. I'm like, okay, man, I am flipping. I'm like, you know what I mean? And so now it sounds weird then, right? But like this dog is so the senses are crazy on this dog. And I'm like, when I look at her, I'm like, I know for a fact that you were sent by our dog. His name was Hansi, but it's just weird. It's just, I can't explain it. It sounds weird coming from a human.
Oh yeah. And we see more cardinals, which cardinals are supposed to be a sign of, someone, loved one coming by. We see cardinals everywhere now. Like,
no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We've got a couple that live like in the trees right around here. And yep. Yeah. So they're always around. They're always there for sure.
And I like how you explain it though. It's looking for, you maybe didn't say it like this, but this is what I heard. Looking for the blessing inside the crowd. Inside that storm. Looking for that. You'll find it.
Well, and the other thing, like for us that we've got it as another blessing is, a lot of other people, because through this process, we've clearly, we've met other people that have lost children and stuff. And a lot of those other people, like they had either fraternal twins or like just a singleton that they lost. And so a lot of them are always left wondering, what would their kids, what would they have looked like, sounded like, what color hair, what color eyes. And because our girls are identical twins, like we'll always see Haley in Emma.
Exactly, because they were twins. So it's almost like you see her, you see.
Yeah, last night was the first time in a long time. I called Emma Haley, which was weird, but
meaning on your mind.
Yep.
That is wow. That's so crazy. It's interesting how they were twins. What I'm saying is, so in a way, you never have to think, well, how would she look like?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
That's the cool part. And how old is your daughter now?
She just turned 1 about 2.5 weeks ago. She just turned 1. So, but when you adjust her age, she's about 9-10 months adjusted age.
Okay.
Because she was supposed to be born on March 11th, and she was born on December 7th.
Oh wow, adjusted. Yep. I never heard of that. I like that.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. So, do you guys plan to have any more children, or?
I don't know yet. We'll just see how things go. Probably not right away. We're, both still dealing with the emotional trauma, so we're,
So how are you dealing with the emotional trauma? And if you are dealing with it, how do you deal with that? And what's the process on that?
So for a while I hadn't been dealing with it, and I used work as a way to get away from it. So it's just knowing they're around and just paying attention to the signs. And also, like, I am working on continuing to be better, but getting back in the gym, working out, that really has helped, with mindset too.
Awesome. It's funny how people don't realize that working out is powerful.
And being outside.
And then when you're eating right.
Yep.
It's like everything. There's not just like one thing. It's not like I can just take a shot, it's going to give you everything I need. If so,
there's no magic pill. Exactly.
But when you're grounded to what you're created by, we're really just dirt. If you really think about it, that's why the earth is very powerful. You want to get some vitamin D. Of course, it's great to get bills, but hey, get the sunshine outside.
And yep.
Maybe not right now. Maybe we got icicles.
Yeah. I'm over here. Cold weather coming in now.
I know. Like I was saying, I woke up this morning and took the dog out to pee. She ran back in. And as I'm walking, I'm like, why is everything so crunchy? And I can see my steps in the grass. I'm like, okay, I just destroyed that. That's cool. I will go back into the asphalt.
Back in the house.
And then, but as I got onto the cement, I'm like, okay, this is slippery. This is dangerous. I will go back into the house. But I was like, no snowman for me this year. I'm good.
Yeah.
But so what are you guys doing for Christmas this year?
We're just going to be hanging out at home. We got my in-laws coming down, and going to be making a prime rib and fish. And
hey, that's what I'm talking about.
My family's all hunkering down in Wisconsin.
Oh yeah,
because I got tons of snow there right now. And so we're just going to hang out at home.
That's
going to be nice. We've been gone a lot.
How long's your work? You guys going to take a couple days off? You're going to take the week off, and then we start.
I got how's that? For Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, and then next weekend we'll be working at a dog show all New Year's Eve weekend. So it's a really fun show down in Fort Pierce, and so we'll be down there with friends and clients. And
how does a dog show? What is that? How does that look like?
Oh, so we always go to agility trials. So if you've ever seen like the AKC agility where they're going through like the weave poles and the jumps and the tunnels and stuff, those are the kinds of events that we go to on weekends. And so we just set up and we treat a lot of most of the dog athletes, but we do treat some of the handlers too. They'll come over and get adjusted as well. But we just help them get their cues and get their ribbons.
I bet you guys get a lot of business by that. I mean, I'm thinking in my head, I'm sure you guys are doing like, hey, you get a free, I don't know. What do you, I want to say,
we give them a discount. We give them a discount off of our usual house visit fee at the shows, because we go there and they all come to us instead of, because that's normally we just make house visits. We go to every place and adjust. We don't even have an office. We're concierge house call.
You guys are concierge.
Yes.
Oh, I bet you're busy, dude.
Yep.
Wow.
We're busy.
Oh, wow. And what's the population where you live?
80, 100,000, something
That's
like that in
actually pretty good.
Ocala.
That's actually
Yeah, it's
pretty
not too
good.
bad, but we do a lot of work here. We go to Jacksonville every Monday, so we're always busy on Mondays in Jacksonville, and yeah, we're busy.
Man, you're okay. That's awesome. Well, you know what? Hey, doctor, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your heart and being vulnerable. And I'll tell you what, I say this all the time, but all it takes is one video to help one person in this life. And I think that's what it's about. There's an old school saying that I love, and I love it to this day, is if you help enough people get what they want in this life, you get everything that you want in this life. But I want to take it
That's right.
further. It's about helping people where they're at, whether they're in pain or not. It's not about what we can get, it's about what we can give, because the only thing we keep really is what we give from the heart,
Yep.
And I just want to say thank you for what you do, giving from the heart, because the type of work you do with dogs, that's special. And I just pray blessings upon you and your family, and this new venture with your beautiful daughter, and she's one, and she's healthy, and
yes,
you know what, and that's praise report. So I love that, the resiliency in the resilience in the storm, and you talked a lot about that today, and I know for a fact with what you spoke on, it's going to bless many people, and I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you so much.